Good morning, Hawaii, aloha, and welcome to Lucy's Paradise Podcast. Today we have actually the first female guest that I've had on this podcast, my friend Maddie. She is also known as Mad Creative Life. Sorry, I totally butchered that. Let me do it again. She's also known as Mad Creative Life because she has a YouTube channel that's centered around travel, her being a yoga instructor, and wellness. So, welcome, Maddie. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about you and how we know each other.
So just a little background on me. I'm 27, turning 28 this year. I currently live in California, and I have for most of my life. I did live on Kauai for a couple years, and that's when I met Lucy. And
we went on I actually met you here on Oahu. And
yes.
We went on like a 7-hour, 10-mile hike.
Yes.
It was extremely long.
It was very eventful. I have great pictures from that day. It was a week. It was a whole weekend too.
I forgot.
Because I had some friends that I had met on Kauai, and they knew Lucy. They're friends with Lucy, and so we flew over for a weekend to do the hike. It was Stairway to Heaven, but we were taking a different way.
We were trying to. Yeah, it was like we were trying to do it. We've never did it before. Obviously none of us knew what we were doing, but it was an adventure nonetheless. And I think is that the weekend we stayed at the Ilokai? Like,
yes.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And we went to a speakeasy.
Oh yeah.
And we went to like a cafe.
I forgot about that.
The speakeasy was fun because you have to dress up. You have to look nice. So like you dressed up. You had like this cool like jacket. I remember it had like roses.
Yeah, I literally have that video. I was gonna post it the other day and be like, oh, she's gonna be on the podcast, and I totally forgot. But yeah. I have that video.
Yeah.
That we took in like the bathroom.
It was so much fun. I do remember that video you're talking about.
Dang.
It was a good time.
And wait, it was okay. Yeah, I remember the speakeasy.
And I remember half the group on that hike got lost. Me and Megan was one of Kyle's friends. She and I took a different way. We got separated.
Did we?
At one point. That's why it took so long, because we didn't know which trail led to where, and some people went ahead and some people didn't, and it turned out me and Megan actually found the right path and everyone else had the wrong path, but like it just took a while. Like we had to recalibrate. I don't know if you remember. I
don't remember that.
I
don't remember you guys getting lost. I was gone.
we figured we weren't lost, but after a certain point we just stayed put and we're like, okay, like somebody's phone will start working or somebody will come find us. Like
I just remember the ending part, and it was like super steep.
It was so steep.
And then we found like above the freeway, and that was cool.
Yeah. Oh, the end was so worth it. The view was incredible. We found a geocache box up there. Do you remember that?
Oh my god.
Yeah. This like somebody had one of those geocaching boxes, and I was like, who is even gonna find this? Like, you
People
know,
do that hike all the time, I'm sure.
But did we end up at the spot where we were supposed to end up, or did we end up slightly?
So technically, this is what happened, because this is the part I do remember. My memory's not totally shot, thank God. So what I remember our plan was to try to figure out the Stairway to Heaven thing, but like we pretty much knew at some point that like, yeah, this is probably not it, but like whatever, let's full send it. So we kept going. But the cool thing was when we got to that platform area that kind of overlooked H3, like we weren't very far from Stairway and we could see it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we talked about, oh my God, it's right there. But because of how much time we had, I basically told us, like, the whole group, I was like, we need to turn around, because what's going to happen is the sun's going to go down.
And that's what was starting to happen. Yeah. Because it took so long.
Yeah.
And we did start in the morning, but you're right, it took all day.
By the time we were there already, yeah.
And by the time we got back to the car, it was dark.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually
dark. Remember, like, I didn't want to be going down. Yeah. Anyway, that's...
It was definitely a great wild start to an adventure, you know?
Yeah, that was like the epitome of an adventure. And I liked that there was like people I didn't know, because then I feel like on a hike, like you actually get to know your friends better and more in depth, because you're literally like on an adventure together in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Exactly. And then we got to like party in the evening, you know, and it was just fun. We got to all clean up and dress nice and go somewhere fun, and like it was a good time.
Yeah, that was fun. So that was like 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, I think I was 23, so yeah, it was around 5 or so years, yeah.
So tell me about your YouTube channel. And like, what got you into starting
So
that?
glad you asked. So I have been, ever since I was young, I was really big into YouTube. I always watched like all kinds of videos on YouTube, literally anything you can imagine, like whether it was like anime compilations or it was like makeup tutorials or just random silly stuff, you know? And I would watch all that stuff when I was a kid, and then I started finding YouTube personalities, like just regular people that would make consistent videos, like either comedy videos or like hair videos or whatever it was. And
Right,
I
right.
just was so fascinated because they kind of seemed like kind of like a celebrity, but they weren't. They were just a normal person who just like was confident enough to like share something with the world.
Well, I think what's interesting about like YouTube, Twitch, and stuff like that that we've talked about is that people can kind of create their own following, right? And
Exactly.
you have a following on there, so
Yeah, right. Well, and in the beginning, I knew I was going to do YouTube one day. I really, really wanted to do it, but I always thought I would do makeup tutorials or hair tutorials because I was really big into doing that for school. Like every single day, my hair had to be different, my makeup had to be different, my outfit was different. I would try on different styles and looks all the time. And so I just assumed that's what I would do, but I waited a long time and I didn't actually start my channel until it was either 2018 or 2019. I think it was late in 2018, and I like remembered the day that I made the banner and I made the page, and there was like no videos up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it, I'm finally doing it.
that's funny.
And then I had a little before that I had actually gone on like this really big health journey, and I got really passionate about yoga, and so I became a yoga teacher, and then my channel kind of turned into like self-improvement and wellness yoga classes. Like I started creating yoga classes and like sharing with them so people could watch them at home and do
Yeah.
like, you know, a workout video.
Which when COVID happened, that was like all the rage, right?
Exactly. And so I was doing this even before that happened, and because like those
Did that increase your following at that time?
I think I've always had consistent growth, but I'll have
Okay.
to go back and check actually
wonder,
to
yeah.
see if more
Just
people
curious.
would find that stuff during that time. Because yeah, that's what a lot of people did, is they just kind of went on the internet or went on
That's
walks
what I
outside.
did. I was already doing that with yoga
Mm-hmm.
and YouTube. It's funny because I feel like my nephews and like the generations after me, because you're like a little bit younger than me, but they're so into YouTube. Like that's all they watch is YouTube, and it's just interesting to me because, I mean, I guess you know that's why I have a podcast, right? But I just find it interesting because when I was growing up, like we still had you know regular cartoons and regular cable, and then it was starting to phase into being familiar with Netflix and Hulu and all that. And now I feel like now the next trend is going to be like just things like YouTube where normal people can go and make their own and create their own content. And it's just like I feel like it's like going to shift, you know, and like change over to that.
You know,
I
it's
don't know.
almost like that's your own personal portfolio. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people's content online is
Yeah.
becoming more of like their personal portfolio, and so that's kind of why like I keep my stuff really like personalized. You know, like it seems real. Like I'll show travel vlogs of like where I go, and then I also film content in those places too. But I also kind of see it as like almost like a resume or a portfolio of like work I've done. And so if somebody, like if I'm just meeting somebody, usually in conversation it comes up and I'm like, oh, I have a YouTube channel, I have an Instagram page, like, and we'll exchange info. And then I look at their stuff and it gives me a good idea of like who this person is and what they do, what they're interested in, you know? And so it's,
I've kind of prided myself
yeah.
on the fact that like my stuff's kind of random and all over the place. And I'm just like, I mean, that's me. You know what I mean?
It's real.
Because like, yeah, like one day I'll be like, look guys, I was in a jujitsu fight. And then the next day it's like something completely different or
Yeah.
like fitness related, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I like it that way, but
Yeah.
do you want to stick to like, like where's your channel you think gonna go? What do you think?
Well, it's been consistent. So I've had consistent, steady growth the whole life of the channel. And I would like to kind of streamline it a little bit and just focus more on like the yoga classes and the workout classes. And I do still want to incorporate the travel stuff because it's a little bit behind the scenes too. Since I do film so much,
Interesting.
I do incorporate in the vlogs like a little bit of like what happens behind the scenes. And I feel like that's kind of important to include because
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to put that at the end of the video, you know, because it's
Right,
like for a
right.
specific purpose. But I do also want to show people what happens behind the scenes because it's not as polished and glamorous as it looks when like you present a finished class.
Right, right, right.
There's like I can't tell you how many times I've filmed like something and it's been super windy or really, really cold, or there's been like rain, or the weather has been like, or even the surface that I'm like doing a yoga like, you know, class on is really uneven. Like it's never perfect.
Right.
It's never perfect. And I feel
Are
like
you a perfectionist?
Oh, good question.
Because I feel like that's the sense that I'm getting from you.
Well,
And I am, so.
I feel like I strive to do the best that I can do. I always try to do my best.
So the answer is yes.
And I'm getting much better these days at accepting things as they are and going with the flow and accepting imperfections, because I'd rather have something to show and something done and something like published than never having done anything because I was waiting for it to be perfect and I was trying to nitpick it too hard.
That's actually interesting.